You don't apply for this job. You get chosen. One day you're a broke regional pilot flying medical supplies into towns that smell like diesel and regret, logging 60-hour weeks for a salary that barely covers your apartment and your pride. And then a man in a clean white guayabera sits next to you at a bar, orders you a drink without asking what you want, and tells you he's heard good things. He doesn't explain who he heard them from. He doesn't need to. You already feel the shift in air pressure, like the cabin just dropped 1,000 feet and nobody else noticed. You say yes before he finishes the sentence. That's the last normal night you ever have. The first run is almost boring. A dirt strip outside a town so small it doesn't have a gas station, just coordinates and a windsock tied to a fence post with electrical tape. You land clean, you wait 12 minutes, you take off. Nobody talks to you. A bag appears behind your seat like it was always there. You fly back, you land, you walk away. $40,000 hits an account you didn't know you had 3 days later. You stare at the number on your phone screen standing in a grocery store parking lot and a woman pushing a cart almost hits you and you don't even move. By the third run, you stop being nervous and that's when things start to change. They upgrade your aircraft, not a gift, an expectation. The plane is clean, fast, and registered to a company name that sounds completely real until you try to find the address. You don't try to find the address. You fly the plane. You don't ask about the cargo. You don't count it. You don't look at it longer than it takes to confirm weight distribution. You are not a criminal. You are a pilot. You keep telling yourself that because it's technically true and because the alternative is a thought you can't afford to finish. You start getting a handler. Not a boss, a handler. There's a difference, and you learn it fast. A boss gives you orders. A handler gives you information and watches how you respond to it. Your handler is a woman who speaks in a flat, careful voice and never says your name on a call. She tells you weather windows, runway conditions, tail numbers, timing. She tells you once. You don't ask her to repeat it. You write nothing down. You start flying at night more than day. Not because they prefer it, because you do. In the dark, a runway is just a line of lights. The cargo is just weight. The destination is just a heading. Everything is geometry. You are very, very good at geometry. The money changes you in ways you don't see happening. You don't buy anything flashy because you've been told not to, and because you're smart enough to understand why. But your posture changes. The way you walk into a room changes. You start sitting with your back to walls without thinking about it. You stop telling people what you do for work, and when they ask you say aviation, and let the word sit there like a closed door. People stop pressing. Something in your face tells them to. You have a go bag now. Always packed, always near the door. Change of clothes, cash in 3 currencies, a phone that isn't your phone. You check it every morning before you check anything else. You don't know exactly when that started. You just know it's been a while. There are rules and you learn them all without being handed a list. You are never early and you are never late. You are on time, exactly. Which in this world is the only way you prove you're serious. You don't drink the night before a run. You don't bring anyone to the airfield. You don't talk about routes. You don't talk about faces. You don't talk about numbers. You don't talk. You fly. One night you're holding at altitude over water, waiting for a signal that's 12 minutes late, and you feel something you haven't felt since the first run. Not fear, exactly. Something older than fear. The awareness that you're completely alone above a dark ocean, and the only people who know where you are right now are people who would deny it. Your name does not appear on a manifest. Your flight plan is filed under a ghost registration. You are, for all official purposes, nowhere. You are a rumor at altitude. The signal comes, you descend. You start recognizing other pilots without being introduced to them. You see them at certain airfields, certain fuel stops, certain hotel bars in certain cities. You make eye contact for exactly 1 second, and then you both look away and that's the whole conversation. And somehow it's enough. You are part of something with no name and no org chart and no HR department, and somehow that makes it feel more real than anything you did before. There is a hierarchy here, but it's written in behavior, not titles. You know your rank by how people move when you enter a room. They start giving you harder routes. Mountain corridors, no radar valleys, strips that are barely strips, a flat stretch of packed earth between tree lines, with maybe 200 meters of margin if you come in clean and 0 margin if you don't. You come in clean. Every time. You don't tell anyone that you've started enjoying it. The precision of it. The way your hands and the aircraft become one thing in the dark over terrain that would kill anyone less practiced. You are very practiced. That's why you're here. Your old life starts to feel like a film you watched once. The regional routes, the scheduling conflicts, the passengers complaining about legroom. You remember it, but it doesn't feel like yours anymore. You are not that pilot. You are this one, the one who lands without lights, the one whose phone never rings twice, the one who the man in the white guayabera chose at a bar because someone, somewhere, said your name in a room you'll never know about. And then one evening, your handler calls and her voice is different. Not panicked, she doesn't panic, but different, compressed. She gives you a route you haven't flown before, a departure window that's in 4 hours, and a destination that makes you pause for just a second, because you know that airfield and you know what it means to land there. You don't ask questions. You pull out the go bag. You drive to the airfield. You run your pre-flight checks in the dark with the same hands you've always had, steady as instruments, and you realize somewhere between the fuel check and the control surface test that you have not thought about your old life in weeks. Not once. Not a flicker. It's gone, and the strange part, the part that should probably concern you more than it does, is that you don't miss it even slightly. You push the throttle forward. The runway disappears behind you, and somewhere over the mountains, at an altitude that doesn't exist, carrying weight you've never asked about, flying a heading only 2 people on Earth currently know, you feel, with complete and total clarity, that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. That's the part they never warn you about. Not the danger, not the money, not the silence. The fact that one day you stop waiting to want your old life back and realize you already made your choice a long time ago, standing in a grocery store parking lot, staring at a number, while the whole world moved around you, and you didn't move at all.